Yeah, I mean, the airline industry, for example, obviously, as any type of long-term investor, yeah, it's a terrible industry. I mean, returns on capital, you can go through all the well-known arguments about why airlines are a terrible investment. But if you have a shorter-term investment approach, there are certain times where airlines are going to do very well. It could be strong economic times, as long as oil price obviously is not racing ahead. So you can make a case that at certain points in time, airlines can be good investments. I mean, good investment to me is the stock goes up by a certain percentage to justify the risk involved. It's a good investment. You know, we're not buy and hold investors here, so we can invest in an airline and make a justification for it at certain points in the cycle. So where would I see a bad investment is a company that's in a dying industry. So while airlines are a bad industry, very capital intensive and very competitive, so has a lot of negative attributes associated with it, it's not a dying industry. People need to fly, there's always going to be a need for airlines, so the industry is not going away. But you can look at something like the PC industry, for example, where I think if you were to project forward, the PC at some point, I'm not saying any time in the near future, is going to be a relic. We're going to look at it like transistor radios at some point where you barely see any people have them as antiques, more so than a practical item you use in your day-to-day life. So something like that where an industry is obviously just bleeding away to death because the world changes and human need changes and technological advances. So it would be industries like that where you really don't see hope for that industry to ever turn around. Now, obviously a company within an industry could remake itself, could shift its product line, could use the fact that it makes PCs to springboard into other areas like a tablet, which obviously has some runway here. So it doesn't mean that it's a death knell for every single company in the industry, but we'd be very wary about looking at a company that's in a dying industry where a product really has no future to it and it's just kind of running off. So I would contrast that with the airline example you brought up where if we look 20 years from now, I'm willing to bet that the airline industry is still around and we still have airlines. There'll be a lot of obviously ups and downs in those 20 years with that industry, but it'll still be around, whereas PCs, maybe in 20 years, that industry is not existent and we're all on tablets and smartphones and there's other ways of doing business and running our personal lives.